Mr. Speaker, I come to this third reading of the Maori Commercial Aquaculture Claims Settlement Regional Agreements Bill with a great deal of joy. In fact, almost as much joy as I have in biting into a succulent bluff oyster or ripping apart a delicious green-lipped mussel from outside of the Catherine's Cove, which forms the focus of this bill. It is the same joy that takes me back to 6 June 2009, when the Prime Minister, the Minister of Fisheries and Minister of Maori Affairs Sharples signed a deed of settlement with the iwi of Te Tauihu, Ngaitahu and iwi of the Hauraki. It is the same joy that we experienced in December 2004 when the Maori Commercial Aquaculture Claims Settlement Act was passed. For those who may have missed the detail, the 2004 Act provided for a full and final settlement of Maori commercial aquaculture settlement interests since 21 September 1992. It opened up the opportunity for the marine farming industry to continue to grow, while at the same time ensuring iwi access to coastal marine space to develop their marine farming issues. As a direct descendant of Ngāti Koata, Ngāti Toa, Ngāti Kuia and Kaitahu, I remember the terms of that Act in lucid detail. The 2004 Act committed the Crown to provide the equivalent of 20% of existing aquaculture space in the marine coastal area issued on or after 21 September 1992. But importantly, the legislation also required 20% of all new aquaculture space identified in the coastal marine area to be transferred to iwi via the Māori Commercial Aquaculture Settlement Trust. The 2004 Act was one of great promise. Māori enterprises were well placed to capitalise on growth in the fisheries and aquaculture industries and could see considerable potential for being able to contribute to the export markets in the fishing sector. It signalled new horizons which would see increased utilisation of the Māori asset base in economic and social development. There was a call for investment to support potential Māori aquaculture interests, including innovative research and development. It was, however, a horizon that we would wait some time to see. Indeed, in the years that passed by since the 2004 Act, we saw as much progress as one would standing on the bank of the Orari River, waiting to spot eels hiding beneath the rocks of the riverbed. We waited and waited and waited, and still the tuna never appeared. Because the trick is, as any good eeler from Arowhenua Marae would tell you, the tuna will never come all on its own. One needs to get into the water, shift a few rocks to flush them out, and be prepared to act. And that is what we have seen happening with this Māori Commercial Aquaculture Claims Settlement Bill. When the Māori Party came into the relationship agreement with the government, we inherited a space in which we were well aware that aquaculture policy had stagnated under the previous government. In particular, the costs, delays and uncertainties inherent with the aquaculture regulatory process were simply unsustainable. Quite simply, the previous government's aquaculture reforms didn't work, with no new marine farming space populated since 2004 and little prospect of some being opened up in the future. In fact, 9 long years of more inaction, Mr Hawkins, far worse than not being at a select committee hearing. The amendments to the Māori Commercial Aquaculture Claims Settlement Act 2004 that we are welcoming today provide the Crown with an additional option for complying with its aquaculture pre-commencement space obligation. In particular, this bill incorporates provisions into the Act to deal with regional agreements. The bill, therefore, must be seen in the context of the $97 million early settlement of the Crown's pre-commencement space obligations to iwi. It gives effect to an agreement between the Crown and the iwi of Te Waipounamu and Hauraki for an early settlement in the pre-commencement space obligation in these regions. The Crown is demonstrating a genuine commitment to fulfil their obligations to iwi, albeit in a limited way, given that there is a general consensus that there is very little space available for new aquaculture, mainly mussel farming developments. Mr Speaker, the Maori Party has advocated for urgent progress to ensure iwi get full value from settlements. And so, in this regard, we welcome the intention from the Crown to make up for lost time and previous efforts. And most importantly of all, we welcome the proactive movement of the people. Today I stand in this House to commend ngā iwi o Te Waipounamu me Hauraki, a conglomerate of Ngāti Apa ki te Rātoa, Ngāti Koata, Ngāti Rārua, Ngāti Kuia, Ngāti Tama ki te Tauihu, Ngāti Tō ki te Tauihu, Te Atiawa ki te Tauihu, Rangitane ki Wairau, Kaitahu and the Hauraki Māori Trust Board. These iwi have come together motivated by two powerful drivers. Firstly, they seek to make the difference in enabling early settlement in respect of Te Waipounamu and Hauraki. It provides a solution to the limited prospects for generating settlement assets for iwi by 2014. The second effect of their initiative is that it will allow the same scenario to be negotiated in other regions. Iwi who are consulted appear to favour regional agreements, seemingly based on the fact that there is no new space. The Select Committee also spoke enthusiastically about this first agreement as a template and exemplar for other regions. Their report also noted the willingness of Te Waipounamu and Hauraki iwi to help other iwi to achieve similar settlements. All of this is very positive. I want to remind the House that some estimates suggest there is great potential for aquaculture to be a $1 billion industry by 2025. The Maori Party fully endorses the response from the Select Committee, which identified the overwhelming support from iwi and industry for the early pre-commencement space settlements provided for in this bill. There are, however, some issues inherent in the context of mussel farming that I want to just touch on. Mussel farms, of course, are an artificial construct, and there are some adverse effects which must be taken into account as we develop further. Issues such as the debris of mussel shells that litter the seabed floor, or the loss of juvenile fish who become entangled in the farms and depleted as prey. We must always weigh up the ecological balance, the arguments around sustainability. In this light, I recognise the initiative of Golden Bay Cement, which is removing the debris from the seabed and recycling it as a form of pure lime. We want to support the aquaculture industry to be an ecologically sustainable one, and we would welcome any initiatives it can bring forward to ensure environmental quality and biodiversity. Mr Speaker, this is a great day to celebrate the initiatives that iwi have taken in advancing the Māori aquaculture development, and I want to just acknowledge the sentiments expressed by Minister Smith around we see this as something that we can build on for the foreshore and seabed negotiations. We hope that those will go as well as this one did. We in the Maori Party fully agree with the Select Committee that the process undertaken to agree the deed of settlement and this bill is an excellent example of cooperation and collaboration between iwi and between the Crown and iwi. We are delighted to support this bill. Tēnā tātou katoa.